to read the apology as prescribed by the plenary and by this Senate.
Mr. Speaker, I have apologized before, and I have no problem reading a prescribed apology, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to draw to your attention that we currently have a court case that is ongoing, Mr. Speaker. And I have been advised, Mr. Speaker, that the prescribed apology in the wording that it has been put, Mr. Speaker, I've been advised that it is self-incriminating and it undermines my right to a fair process with the current court proceeding that is there. Mr. Speaker, I have no problem apologizing to the House. I have apologized to the House. I continue to say that I apologize for my conduct. I continue to seek to my colleagues that I am sorry on the ways that I offended them. I have no issues apologizing. Even now I am apologizing, Mr. Speaker. And I brought this to your attention prior to this sitting, that there is a sentence there that actually is self-incrimination and that can be used against me in an ongoing court process. And because of this, Mr. Speaker, I had kindly requested to give the apology as I have read it, and even to further tell my colleagues and to this House that I continue to be sorry for the conduct that they perceived to be unbecoming. Mr. Speaker, I don't know how else to appeal, because as I stand here, Mr. Speaker, I have sat out my suspension without pay. I have suffered the consequences of reporting issues, Mr. Speaker, and I continue to suffer those consequences, and I'm okay with that. However, Mr. Speaker, I really don't understand in whose interest it is for a prescribed apology with a self-incriminating sentence that actually puts me in an issue. So, Mr. Speaker, I appeal to my colleagues and to this House. I am sorry. I don't know how else to say I am sorry. I have said I'm sorry before. No. I am saying I'm sorry again, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gloria, you cannot raise a point of order. The senator is not properly admitted to the House. So you cannot raise a point of order against her. Now, Senator Gloria, let me help you. It is not up to the Speaker or the Chair to vary the apology. The apology was prescribed by the Senate sitting at a plenary. It is only the plenary sitting again to reopen this matter and amend that particular apology. As it stands, it must be read as contained in the report. So you either read this apology as prescribed, or you go think about it and come back at any day, any time that you'll be willing to read it as is prescribed. There is no two-way about it, because by allowing the apology that you've read out, and basically usurping the powers of plenary by amending a report that was passed and adopted by this Senate. I do not have those powers.
I stand guided, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
I will, I have, as I've said, I have no problem reading it. But I have been advised, Mr. Speaker, and I'm not a legal expert, and I have an ongoing court case, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gloria.
So it's I don't know what else is required from me, Mr. Speaker.
The Chair is speaking, Senator Gloria. You know our standing orders. I have told you that there's only two ways. There are only two ways. You either read as prescribed, walk in and take your seat, or you don't read as prescribed and you walk out until such a time that you'll be ready to read the oath as prescribed. Which way do you want to go?
Mr. Speaker, having had your advice and noting that by reading this apology, I will be incriminating myself, noting that this is attached to my work, I find that very unfair. Mr. Speaker, I stand by my dignity and I stand by where I am, and I have no option. Where you have left me, I have no option but to walk away from my duties, because I cannot read an incriminating statement on a matter that has not been investigated. And Mr. Speaker, as it stands, I want to say that this being the last statement that I make, I continue to stand by my statements, and I want to say that it is truly unfair that an incriminating statement is being put in an apology so that I can tie myself down to something that has not been investigated, not by Parliamentary Service Commission, not by this House, not by an independent one. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, I have no option but to actually walk away from chambers as you have directed, Mr. Speaker. And having said that, I would also want to inform this House that it is happening to me now, but it is going to happen to you in the future. Because I am not fighting anyone. I am actually saying I reported a case, it has not been investigated, and the powers that be are actually influencing a process so that I can incriminate myself and therefore perjure myself in a court case that is ongoing. I find this very unfair, and this being the upper house, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I'm disappointed, and I want to say that I am not going to trade a salary for something that has not been investigated. I can stay without the salary, I can stay without the position, Mr. Speaker, and I still continue to say it is unfair that someone who has reported a matter is being taken through this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.